day everyone! Today's video is going to be highlighting all of the purple, red foliage shrubs and perennials that I have in my garden, and that is appropriate for my zone, which is Zone 5 in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And let's go through all of them. First we have the one behind me here. I'll just switch it around the camera. So this is a purple leaf sand cherry shrub. I have limbed it up to be a slightly bit of a tree form just so that I could underplant with perennials. And it did bloom in the spring. It has whitish pink blossoms that are fragrant, kind of like a rose smell. I do believe it's in the rose family. As such, it does get a little bit of Japanese beetle damage later on in the season. Hasn't started yet. The tips are the most red and the rest is kind of a purple and then going into green with the older foliage. But it really pops, it really stands out. It's kind of got a delicate, graceful lean to it right now. And I do prune it kind of like right after it blooms. I'll prune it because if you prune it later, like in the fall, you're basically cutting off the buds that are forming for the spring blooms. So always just cut any shrub after it blooms immediately if you wanted to trim it. Now this doesn't need to be trimmed. It's a native plant. It's hardy from zones 2 to 8. That's USD zones 2 to 8, and it's I think it can grow as tall as 10 feet and 8 feet wide, something like that, 6 feet wide to 8 feet wide. So I do have to prune it. I only have a smaller kind of, well, medium size, I guess, city backyard. And so a lot of my shrubs do need management. So that's one. I'll get another close up. I really like it. I mean, it is known for being susceptible to certain problems, but I haven't encountered any besides the Japanese beetles so far. So crossing my fingers. It does have like a wayward growth habit, so I do like to keep it trim, but it doesn't seem to be an issue. So next on the list is another native plant. It's ninebark. I have two of them. Oh, there it is. So this is a ginger wine ninebark, which is a cultivar of the native winebark, and it's to make the foliage this kind of wine color, I guess. And so to me, it does go into the purple red family. It has tinges of kind of like green going into orange and then going into this deep burgundy color, and it gets brighter the more sun gets to it, just like basically all of them are like that. The more the sun is, the more they're in, 6 to 8 hours of sun, the more brilliantly red or bright purple the shrub is going to be at some point. It does bloom. It has these kind of white pink, very similar to the sand cherries, but they are more indistinctive. Like they're tinier blossoms, and they have a collection here, and they were really cute. But if you didn't have them, like I'd still get it just for the structure. It looks like these are growing straight up, but they do have usually more of a lean. Oh, there's one behind right there too. So I loved it so much that I had to get another one. They are not susceptible to any diseases. They do get aphids sometimes, but it's so easy to manage aphids, right? You just either let the bugs eat the aphids, like lady beetles and other insects will eat them. Sometimes I even get dragonflies. And basically you can also just smush them. If you see them, you can just see they're usually on the ends of the tender plants. Like I don't have any right now, but if I did, I would just do this and I would smush them. The aphids. Or if you're planning on pruning, you can just cut off that and dispose of the aphids, because they usually only attack the tips of them. Oh, and there's sometimes like a few caterpillars that'll close up the leaf like that and damage the look of it, but It rarely happens, and I'm not usually too concerned about it, so I'll just let nature take its course. And yeah, this one's a bit more in shade, so as you can see, it has more of the kind of variegation color on it, which I still love so much, right? It just ties everything in. And I'll bring you to the last 9 bark I have. So those were both ginger wine 9 bark varieties. And over here, I decided to get a Little Angel 9 bark. So it's smaller in stature. It only gets, they say 4 feet round, but I'm hoping it'll get more like 5 feet round for this space. It's just tucked in underneath my sumac here, which is right chartreuse green, yellow, and my yellow ribbon arborvitae. And I needed like a red pop. I've got like the silver blue here and another blue accent here. So the red is really important to balance foliage, and it just draws the eye. So I got this one. Now this one, like the others, it'll have a two-tone for a while. It was actually quite orange at the start of the spring season, but it's now starting to turn red, and it becomes brilliantly red, like more so than the ginger wine later on, kind of like past midsummer. So as you can see, there's like one little tendril that came up higher, so I have a feeling it's going to start getting big. It's just brand new. So now this one did, I don't know why, because I didn't know they were susceptible, but this one did get some kind of like, yeah, white powdery mildew on its leaves. So now that I know that, oh, I just see a broken branch. Now that I know that about this particular shrub, because it didn't happen with my other ones, I'm going to be spraying it with a mildew resistant. So I'll just show you what that looks like before. So in here I keep some, like, it's like fungicide spray. I know it's just like, don't look at the bottle. I'm just using the bottle to mix the product in. I think I have the actual stuff here. Yeah. So this is what I got. Safer's Defender Garden Fungicide. I just picked it up at Richie's, and I'm sure you can pick it up anywhere. And it's a concentrate, so I just mix it with water. And I know that it works because when I bought it last year, because I was getting powdery mildew on my phlox. So I got some last year and I sprayed them in the spring and like throughout the process of it being really wet and damp out, which is now. I've been spraying all my phlox, and last year I didn't get any powdery mildew, so I'm assuming it must be from that. So I did not spray the 9 bark because I just didn't think 9 barks had that issue. So right after this arborvitae, I wanted another shrub before, like in the middle. I tried to make it in the middle. I think I put it too far to the right to this serviceberry shrub, or the serviceberry shrub is just getting like, it's becoming more of a tree with multi-trunks is what I'm seeing. It's supposed to be a very narrow, upright shrub, and it is really like sprawled out. I might actually take out this branch here because I find that it is encroaching on, there it is. So this is a black lace elderberry variety called Laced Up Elderberry, and it's obviously not, you know, burgundy red or purple, but it does lend to the family of a darker leaf that contrasts with the typical green or chartreuse leaf that you would see. So I'll just like look in here. So it does have like that plum tinge to it. And then of course the blooms are this, you know, white, soft pink, quite like large disc almost. And new growth is green. So this one I know is not like the most beautiful shrub. I just wanted Coco. He's always getting in the dirt. I just wanted variation in foliage color in this area. It is a shaded part, and it gets only intense sunlight in the late afternoon, but like really hot, intense sunlight. And it seems to be doing just fine because elderberries are very strong. And this is supposed to get as high as 8 feet, I believe, and only as wide as 2-3 feet wide. So that's why I picked it for right here, because that's its growth habit. I did have one wayward branch that was going like into the tree, so I just cut it off and it was fine. I did that. I cut it off in the spring, I believe. So yeah, it's a good grower. I recommend it if you're into that kind of cut leaf, dark foliage, pink accent. The flowers are they're only here obviously for like a couple weeks and then they're gone, so buy it for the leaves. Now we're going to visit the best one in the garden, in my opinion. I'll just turn around. There she is. This is a royal purple smoke bush, and it was the first shrub I bought, and it is humongous. I think it can get to 20 feet high and like 10 or 15 feet wide if you let it go nuts. It also has these smoke-like blooms, right? These like puffer blooms. Now I didn't buy it for the blooms. I mean, I do like the blooms. There's one down the street that I pass by every day on my way to work, and I'm like, well, it is kind of pretty. The blooms are slightly brighter. They're like, I don't know, it's pinky purple. And I find that they look really good when they're completely covered. And so one day maybe I'll let it go, but I have to trim it, right? Again, I have a smallish backyard. I can't let it go as much as I'd like to. But I just think the purple is really pretty. In the sunlight, it's even more purple. It's just, we have overcast for the last like ever, it seems. And you'll see that because I don't have it in full sun, I only have it in 5.5, 6 hours sun, it does have that green tinge to it. So this would be a lot brighter purple, or if you have, you know, the 8-hour sun space, and if it was like somewhere in, not up against a fence and center stage, and like I think that's where it really belongs. But you know, beggars can't be choosers with the space that they're given. It is like also under this massive tree, so it grows so fast. Like throughout the season, I think it was only 2 feet tall, and then it would grow like 4 feet within, you know, the time for it to bloom. So like within a month, I think. And then it was like grew another 4 feet by the end of the season. I was like, okay, I have to prune this. Let me get closer up. And I find that the leaves are just so wide. They're so big and pretty. And so, I don't know, just like a really pretty leaf in color. And I do like how it goes into green a bit. Like, I think that looks kind of cool. So this was a lot more red even just a month ago, because the new growth is a lot more purpley red. And now it's been sitting for a while, so it has faded a bit to green, but I still really recommend. It's like, right, the newer the color, like the newer the leaf, the brighter the red. So if I could put this in the middle of a yard, it would really, really pop. And it does pop. From even my neighbor's side, he'll notice it from their window, and they'll say like, oh my gosh, what is that? Like, what shrub is that? I'm like, it's my royal purple. Smoke bush. Okay, so speaking of royal purple smoke bush, in this center bed, going back to the center bed, I wanted to have another smoke bush, but I was like, no, there's no way. I can't put a big smoke bush here. It'll ruin the look, and it'll obstruct my view from seeing the rest of the garden when I'm sitting on the patio. But there was a dwarf variety, and so I got that. It's a lot smaller leaf, but it's still kind of cute. And I allow that one to bloom because it's so tiny and it's only supposed to get like 4x4. So just like its mama, it starts off with a really red leaf, and eventually the older leaves become like a greener tinge to it. This one has a lot more veining, I find. And it has these blooms that haven't fully formed yet, or like kind of sad right now, but I mean, it's a brand new shrub, so I only got it last year, I think. So it still needs time to develop. It was kind of late to leaf out, I found. And there's this big hole in the middle here. It's not because I did not prune this. Maybe I should be pruning it because I find it's got like just like two sides to it. But I kind of let this bed kind of wild. The only thing that's manicured is the lollipop. I make that one kind of round. And so I just wanted to see what the blooms were like and if I liked them. And so far I just find they're a little insignificant on this like miniature version, but on the mother plant they are a lot more spectacular. Again, I'm just looking for foliage contrast in my garden, so I'm not too concerned about the blooms on a smoke bush. So just to recap that, we have Little Angel 9-bark, the laced up elderberry, ginger wine 9-bark, royal purple smoke bush, purple leaf sand cherry, the dwarf smoke bush, and another ginger wine 9-bark. Now for red and purple leaf perennials, I mean, the most obvious one that is clearly my favorite are heucheras. I have purchased so many heucheras and have lost so many tags that I don't know what is what anymore. So this is like a berry named one. It's the most purple one I have. And this one is like a watermelon, I believe. And they do bloom, but like I don't get them for the blooms. This one I just transplanted here, so it's looking a little tiny, but look at the veining on that. It's got that orange but red. And remember, the behind the leaf is also a showstopper, right? Oh, might as well mention the sedum. This sedum does have some purple leaves to it. It's like I'm so bad at names. Dazzleberry sedum. Dazzleberry sedum. I got a little tiny heuchera there that almost died. It's like fire red. I think it was just called red. Here's another one. This one's in a lot better shape. I'll probably end up splitting this, putting the other one over there. So sometimes the only problem I have with heuchera, because they do love it here in our zone, in our climate, and with this clay soil, is that they heave out if you have like a weird winter where it's like hot and cold, hot and cold. The hot and cold makes them heave out of the ground. So like their root system starts to come out and starts to eventually, you know, damage the plant's growth. So then you just have to dig it out and put it back in the ground. It's not a big deal. Oh, I think this one actually is called Royal Purple too. It's got like the same name as my shrub. So pretty. Yeah, this one, the spikes on it, oh my goodness, it's just so much. Love that. So yeah, I do have a lot of heuchera. I use them as borders. They contrast really well with the grass, right? And I've spotted them just all around so that they would accent the border. Now, besides the heuchera, because that's mostly what I use, I do have this little guy here, which, oh, and some weeds, of course. It's because he doesn't spread very fast. What are these things called? They're like hens and chicks, you know. They have like a fancy name, you know, the Latin name, but I don't remember what it is. So I have that. That's got some red foliage. And also I just recently purchased another sedum. I haven't even planted, well, I've planted pieces of it, because what you can do with sedum is just cut off a piece and then shove it in the dirt and it'll root itself, right? So what is this one called? For pity's sake, I just purchased it. But it's a red sedum that stays red the whole season. Anything else? Oh yes, this one is so important, and I can't believe I passed it. It's because, again, it grows, this one, penstemon. The leaves grow in purple, like a lot more purple. But then once it starts blooming, it goes to green. But they are a purple accent, especially in early spring. So yeah, this penstemon is called Midnight Masquerade. It's beautiful. And I just bought a new Midnight Masquerade over here. See? So the leaves are, okay, they're both green and purple, but it does have that kind of purple tinge to it. And lastly, you can't tell because it totally looks green, but there's been no sun. Maybe that's why. We haven't had sun in like over a week. I don't know what it is, but this does normally have purple leaves. And it is Starry Starry Night hibiscus, Hearty hibiscus. And I think that's it for the perennials. Oops, squirrel. Oh, squirrel chaser doing his job. Good, good, good. Good job, Coco. You got him. So yeah, we do have a hibiscus in Ontario that is hardy that we can use, and it doesn't flower until, like, I don't know, end of July, August. It's really late, but I picked it for the darker leaf, and now I look like a liar because it's totally green. But I promise you, this looks a lot more purple normally. We just have a really wet and dreary and no sun, which is making it difficult. So I hope you enjoyed or learned something about the plants that work maybe for a garden like yours. Clay, zone 5, has a lot of rain. One thing I did try that did not work in my garden was Japanese maple. I did a lace leaf Japanese maple blood dragon, and it did not survive. So it survived like root hardy, but not, you know, stem or leaf hardy. So I've heard that Japanese maples we are able to do them here, but you have to like cover it, protect it from those harsh winds, and you just have to baby it. And sometimes the tops just die off, but then you'll still have the middle, so you just like trim away. And so it's semi-hardy here, and I didn't really want to deal with that, even though I love Japanese maples. They're so red. That like blood good one that's the most popular at all the stores, yeah, I do think it looks beautiful. So if you have the patience to protect it, go for it. The other ones that are really popular but that I don't have are the barberry shrubs. Barberry, yeah, they're like the prickly ones that have berries, and they are invasive here. I think there is a cultivar that is not invasive because it can't, it's like sterile. Is that the word? It's like the fruit, the seeds are sterile, and so it can't, you know, be taken by a bird and go off into the forest and multiply, which is the problem, right? That's what makes something invasive. So yeah, I don't have one in case of that. I mean, not to say that I don't have any invasive plants. I certainly do, and I feel really bad about that. And I'll show you those when we get into the chartreuse colored shrubs and perennials that I put in my garden. And yeah, I try to stay away. Some of the things I purchased before, I knew they were invasive, and that I know that's not really an excuse, and I really like battle with myself whether I should pull it out or not, but I'll explain more of that in the next video. So yeah, hopefully you're enjoying your garden. It is definitely raining again on me right now. It's never ending raining. I mean, we had a heat wave last week, so like, should I complain? No, this is, I'm sure, great for the garden. It's just hard to be out here and enjoy the space when it is constantly drizzling on you. Not to say that I'm not out here every single day, I totally am. But hopefully you have some beautiful weather, and I'll see you in the next video.